Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically are discussing one of the topic that is integration. Integration basically we are discussing one of the topic that is future. In this basically we are discussing India account, SBI account, Amazon account, and after 2 days basically the big earthquake is going to happen. So one person basically asked the question, "Yeah, SBI actually क्या है? What is SBI?" That basically everybody knows that it's a State Bank of India. Then one person told that SBI is Jawaharlal Nehru. SBI is Lal Bahadur Shastri. SBI is Sardar Patel. SBI is Subhash Chandra Bose. SBI is Sushma Desai. SBI is Murarji Desai. SBI is Lokmanya Tilak. SBI is Mahatma Gandhi. SBI is Nathuram Godse. SBI is Bhagat Singh. SBI is Sukhdev. SBI is Chandrasekhar Azad. SBI is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. SBI is Akbar Birbal. SBI is Tipu Sultan. SBI is Abdul Kalam Azad. So one of the person told that yes, I have SBI here basically. Then you told basically in previous story basically SBI is collecting the not SBI basically. One bank basically has collected, that is India Bank basically has collected. If India it's a India Bank, that means it's connected with SBI. So one India Bank basically collected 95,000 crore basically, which was collected by one of the Canadian person basically. Canadian person means he actually developed that software basically. So from that money, the from that software basically he was the designer. He actually done everything basically. From that basically 95,000 crore basically was collected. So that was deposited in SBI basically. So one of the person told that SBI क्या है यार basically. SBI is what basically. Then one of the person told that if this is SBI, then basically you are in wrong place only. You are supposed to exit long before India basically. When basically you have given the interview of South Africa, that time basically you are supposed to exit from India, because the person people like you basically can't stay in India. SBI basically is collecting 95,000 crore for New York Stock Exchange. And in SBI basically which all are group basically that we have already discussed. And that is India. So 1% of the India basically is not of सीधे साधे लोगों का नहीं है basically India. The people basically who are innocent, आम आदमी, normal person basically, they can't stay in India basically. They are supposed to exit India immediately. Just a minute. So 1% of the why you basically discuss this, because whatever lava things basically are getting created. For example, SAP created. SAP is getting power supply from that land. So that land is created by set of groups, and that set of groups are collecting the set of energies. So that energies basically, if it's India country basically, then these all are the energies. And in that, 95,000 crore is also one of the data. That is India. So one person told that if 95,000 basically was correct collected by India basically for New York Stock Exchange, sorry, not Stock Exchange, for I think World Trade Center basically. So one person told that the George Bush basically that time basically was a president. He's also basically one of the India basically. Lots of people says that he also might be India only. Basically. His family also basically might be staying in India. He also basically might be playing the role of president basically, but his origin basically might be from India. So one person told that might be possible because this is the only way you can hit the New York, you can hit the World Trade Center. All top people basically are connected. Task is done basically. that was hit of plane, and that is done by India basically. In that basically one of the person told that if we want to track basically if you want to create the audit basically of that total expense basically done in World Trade Center hit, so you contact SBI basically. So one of the person told the SBI basically might be knowing this because SBI is controlled by RBI basically. SBI know that basically Bin Laden is who. He basically have one account in State Bank of India with the different name basically. So that's very strange basically. Yeah, basically. So one of the person told that the people basically who are at the big post they are playing the role basically. So one person told that Bin Laden basically is one personality basically. He's playing the role of Bin Laden basically. But one of the person told that who is the real person, real name basically behind Bin Laden. And SBI basically, who is basically SBI that we have already wrote Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Sardar Patel. So these all are SBI basically. In that basically, Laden one person basically also joined. So one of the person told that SBI क्या है यार? People says that Pakistani basically is a terrorist country. But in real, who is a terrorist? That you see basically. Terrorist कौन है basically? And one person basically will search Bin Laden in Google basically. Immediately, cyber department basically comes. You have insurance. You have that. You have that. They basically blacklist that person. Basically, why you search the Bin Laden? That Bin Laden is one account basically in SBI. That you search. That you search. Cyber cell basically. That basically you are basically not supposed to do. That basically you are not doing. SBI basically is having one Bin Laden account. So that basically you can't see. One person basically searching Bin Laden account, sorry, Bin Laden in Google basically, you are immediately calling him. So तेरे को ये नहीं दिख रहा SBI में basically one Bin Laden account is there. Cyber cell group basically. And they are connected with the police department. And police is what basically that we have already discussed. Bomb, 93 bomb blast. Mumbai Police Commissioner. So this is basically India actually. So one person told that in this India basically you can't stay only. You were supposed to exit long before it from this India. India is actually terrorist country. They basically don't believe in peace basically. And the people who basically just search Bin Laden, they basically gets call from cyber cell basically. But they can't see that Bin Laden is having one account in SBI. वो उनको नहीं दिख रहा है. So one of the person said this is India basically. मतलब in front world basically they are so clean basically they can't believe it basically भाई इतना the honesty basically I basically never saw in India basically. People say that we love India basically, but in real India basically is this. Real basically India is this only. India basically is a sweet basically, and sweet basically is a poison basically. Sweet basically is a poison. So one of the person told that after this basically that's it. Because in India basically each bank basically are connected with SBI. That is a central bank basically of the India basically. So few people basically has created this bank basically, and their group basically are opening the account. Basically. One of the person told that if Pakistani basically are blaming everything basically that we are terrorist country, so they also might be connected with SBI. Few group basically might be 100% might be connected with SBI, and they might be visiting to SBI also. But direct visit basically it's very dangerous nowadays. So they might have created one call center of SBI, and they might be visiting to that call center, the Pakistani group. So one of the percent of this might be possible, because this is the only way basically. Because you can't go to SBI headquarters and basically will say that basically I am Pakistani. You can't go to SBI headquarters and basically say that basically by maybe Bin Laden. That you can't say basically. Why? Because you are just playing the role of Bin Laden. One person told that Bin Laden will just cross front you basically, but you can't recognize Bin Laden. Why? It might be possible that he might be president of any country now. So that is basically SBI. So one person told that matlab, the people who are innocent, the people basically who are Sida Sada, they basically can't get good post basically. The people who basically collects the 95,000 crore and hit the hit the World Trade Center basically, they only can get the big post basically. This is question basically. Yeah, basically. This is question. So you want to say that the peace people basically there is no value of peace group basically. So that's why one of the person told that you are supposed to exit long before India, because this is not a place for peace group. This is place for who basically collects the money for to hit the New York Stock Exchange, not New York Stock Exchange, World Trade Center basically of New York. The place is basically for that group. Basically. It's basically not a for the peace group. Basically. So one of the person told that the Europe actually created the India, and they are connected with this SBI that are Lal Bahadur Shastri, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Chandrasekhar Azad, Sukhdev, Morarji Desai. So this group basically are connected with Europe. Savarkar, Veer Savarkar, that actually I forgot. They might still exist basically. Why? History never ends. That is the rule of the universe. And in universe basically they never change the rule. So this is SBI basically. So another person told that this is SBI. Just if we search Bin Laden basically in Google, you get immediate call basically from cyber cell. But in real, Bin Laden basically is one account. He basically have account in SBI basically. And basically, if I exactly basically not wrong basically, then Pakistani basically keeps on visiting with SBI basically, and that basically SBI headquarter basically they don't visit. They visit call centers of SBI, and they basically do their task basically there. They tell their all tasks basically to them. So one of the person told that this is the only way basically. So one of the person told that Pakistani basically know this, that Pakistani people basically are visiting Pakistan. SBI basically is visiting in India because SBI bank is there in Pakistan also, but with different name. State Bank of Islam, the Bank of uh, Karachi basically, because stock exchange is also there basically. And what is stock exchange? Basically, we had more than 100 videos. More than 100 videos basically. Even basically the stock exchange designer basically might be thinking यार मेरे को पता नहीं था ये सब. that we are basically doing this whole thing. Basically. Even stock exchange group will say that basically we are doing this whole thing basically that we also don't know. So you can just imagine basically the people who are doing that task now, basically, they only don't know what they are doing. So one person told that that person basically is Bin Laden. That manager basically knows 100% he might not be knowing. He or she basically might not be knowing. That is basically mark my word basically. If you want to write somewhere basically you can write down. But RBI group basically knows this, that he is a Bin Laden. He basically account in SBI and his name is totally different. And Pakistani basically is a terrorist country in front of the world. But in real basically it's India basically. If we see basically closely, India is a terrorist country. And lots of people say that Bare, India is the most cleanest country. India believe not believe in terrorism. India believe in peace. This is peace. You are collecting 95,000 crore to hit World Trade Center. In that basically India is also one of the partner basically. USA is one of the partner. Canadian basically one of the partner. Dubai Group is one of the partner basically. In hitting the World Trade Center basically in 95,000 crore. They are basically partner basically. You can't believe it. Basically. So one of the person told that this is India. Basically. Lots of people say that India. We want the definition of India. So you can write down this is the definition of this is the reality fact. But people basically don't digest basically reality. Reality basically I am not getting job. So I basically know that I am not getting job. But this is India basically. And more about India basically. One person told that Sunil basically you are Hindu, right? So you are basically going to Mumbai, you are basically visiting Bangalore, you basically not getting job. So few people told that basically he is doing time pass. Few people told up to this level basically that he is क्या बोला he is basically he basically is doing time pass and basically is joking basically up to that level basically they basically is doing basically time pass. So one person basically searching job, that is basically the culture of Hindu basically, in India basically. And this is fact basically about India basically. So one of the person told that why basically India is like this because the base basically is like that basically. That is SBI basically. SBI the base basically is like this basically. So you basically are supposed to exit long before India basically. Because people basically like peace group basically can't stay in India basically. You are supposed to exit long before. Because this is fact about India. And India is basically in front of the world basically they are not terrorists. Basically. In front of the world basically Pakistanis are terrorists. देखो Pakistan is basically a terrorist country. But in really basically who is the terrorist? The name basically is so big basically of SBI that if anybody will say that basically this type of basically accounts are there in SBI, nobody will believe it basically. Why? Because he is Bin Laden, he is George Bush. Very less people basically knows. That is up to RBI group only basically knows. And it might possible that Prime Minister and President basically might be knowing this. That he is George Bush basically. And he is Bin Laden. And people basically who are collecting 95,000 crore for World Trade Center hit, they basically gets good post basically in Canada. Basically. So that's very strange here. Basically. This is the world basically. And this is the reality of the world. Basically. This is the reality of the India system. Basically. And Russia is also one of the partner of India basically. So he also basically came into this. Lots of people says that Russia the clean country basically. But see how much clean he is basically. He basically killed more than 1 lakh people basically. This is basically just rough number basically. But in real basically it's more than 1 lakh. Minimum basically it might be 20 lakh. So people says that they are clean basically. And one person basically search something basically in Google. Cyber cell basically calls basically. They basically can't see this basically. That he is Bin Laden. He basically have account in SBI. That basically they can't see. He is George Bush. He was also basically the partner of World Trade Center. That basically they can't see. They basically can see this. He basically search some Google basically. मतलब ये सब दिखाई देता है the cyber cell basically people basically can see this whole thing basically but he is George Bush he is Bin Laden that basically they can't see. Why? Because this is the culture of India. ये हिंदुस्तान का कल्चर है and in this basically more deeply basically will when you go basically this is Hinduism basically that Hindu culture basically that one person basically is uh, dying basically there they will say that basically नाटक कर रहा है. One person basically is searching in job in Mumbai in Bangalore basically they will say that भाई तो नाटक करने आया है टाइम पास करने आया है. That is Mumbai, that is Hindu culture actually. So one person told that instead of staying in this culture basically why don't you exit from this culture basically? Because this culture will never change basically because root of blood basically has created only basically. So this group basically will never change basically. That is never going to never ever going to change because you see the SBI group basically who are basically the SBI. Just a minute. So one person told that the people basically who are collecting 95,000 crore and investing in the World Trade Center basically hitting basically two plane basically hit and basically there. That group basically get president post basically. Which post? President post, prime minister post in Canada basically. So one of the personalities, this is the world basically. Who are into peace group basically, they basically can get nothing basically. And police group are also basically like this. And police group are only basically giving the security to cricketers basically. And cricketer basically give autograph also basically to the public. And public takes the autograph also basically. That is the main thing. And basically, so this is world actually. And one basically people told that basically you don't know anything basically about the system basically. Mumbai police commissioner basically is hitting 93 bomb blast. He's basically doing the planning of 93 bomb blast. And he basically left after the doing plan basically. And implementation basically is done by somebody else. So one of the person told that commissioner group basically are controlled by set of commissioners basically. Because they do the plan and they immediately basically leave. Implementation is basically done by some other. So see the basically chaining system. One of the person told that ये chaining system तो देखो how the chaining system are. So one of the person told that this is the world basically. This is the world basically. So one of the person told that this is the world religion. And Canada basically got the project of 850 crore computers basically of India, that you give the power supply to India basically. Why? Because they have heated World Trade Center basically. And now Canada basically is giving the power supply to India basically. That is 850 crore basically. 850 not basically, 300 server basically. And 300 server basically are giving power supply to 850 crore. So see the world basically created by the world basically created basically. See the world basically. So one person told that this is the world basically. The people basically are at the big post basically. They basically collects 95,000 crore for World Trade Center basically. And after that basically they get the big post basically. And base of India basically that we have already discussed SBI basically. And in front of the world basically SBI is, sorry, terrorist country is Pakistan. So one person told that India is actually terrorist country. India is actually terrorist country basically. And in Indian people basically are so clean basically. They say that basically Pakistan ने ये किया, Pakistan ने वो किया. When basically World Trade Center basically was hit in World Trade Center, that time basically I basically you can't believe it basically. What are the things basically happened in India? They told that basically we are against terrorists, these, that basically. But in real basically your account basically the Bill Laden basically was having account basically in account in SBI. So one person told that George Bush का भी account है basically in SBI, because this is the only way basically to hit the big terrorist basically, big terrorism basically. So George Bush also basically have account in SBI, and Bin Laden also basically having account in SBI, because this is the only way basically, because there is no other plan basically. So one person told that this is the management plan basically. So there is no beyond the management plan of this basically. If you want to achieve one task basically, this is the only way basically. So one person told that somebody is managing this everything basically. Otherwise, this type of big execution basically that can't be possible. That is not possible without management basically. This type of big level task basically execution basically that is not possible. Basically. In this basically the main thing is Canada is basically top 10 country basically of the software basically, and Canada basically is giving power supply to India's computer basically. That is 850 crore, and they have hitted the, they have actually collected the money for World Trade Center hit. So this is world visit. This is world. So one of the person told that this is the world, and this is about Hinduism, because nobody has the time basically. That is the main thing basically. Nobody basically have the time for others. Why? Because the culture is basically like that. Culture basically is like this only. Because the creation is basically created. That is the base of SBI basically is created this way. So you can't do anything basically now, because everything they have created. They have created everything. So now basically if you will say that basically I want to change this, I want to change that. That is not possible. Why? Because the blood is created of India, and blood of India is terrorist, but clean in front of the world. Basically, in front of the world, basically they are Pakistanis. So one person told that Pakistani keeps on visiting in India, basically. But they can't visit in SBI headquarter and basically they say that "Bhai, मैं Bin Laden हूँ." That basically they can't say. I am basically came from Pakistan. That basically they can't say in SBI headquarter. So there is one call center basically that people basically keeps on visiting. So one person told that where might be that call center? Where might be that call center? Where people basically do terrorism plan. And who might be handling that call center? He might be terrorist ka baap basically. He might be terrorist all terrorist ka baap basically. Because he's handling the SBI basically. He's handling the SBI call center. So he might be terrorist ka baap basically. Because if one requirement basically is given, so he should able to understand that requirement also. For example, 95,000 crore basically was given. So somebody might have given the requirement, right? Basically. And that money was collected for a cricket match. India and New Zealand basically one match was basically there. In that match, basically they have collected the money, yeah, basically in front of the police, basically in front of the Supreme Court. Because if you are earning money more than 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 3 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore, immediately basically the Supreme Court gets the SMS basically that this person basically has earned 5 crore, 10 crore. So ये तो 50,000 करना 95,000 करोड़ था. So Supreme Court also basically is in this basically in World Trade had hit center basically. So this is basically just a small thing basically. How many big thing basically they that group basically might be involved basically. So one person told that ये पूरे सारे partners है basically. They all are partner basically. So India is actually terrorist country. One of the person told that also. Just but they are clean in front of the public, in front of the world. So one of the person told this is reality of India basically. But nobody basically will blame India. Basically. Why? Because they have proof that basically India is the cleanest country basically, and Pakistan is a terrorist country. But in real, basically, who is handling this everything? That is Bin Laden. Basically, was person of Pakistan. Basically, they have proved that basically. So one person tells that how they prove basically, and how basically the Supreme Court accept that data also. That is also question. Basically. State Bank of India basically hides the data of this. But if they are not hiding, then also basically who is going? His name is totally different in the SBI Bank basically. Then how basically you are going to know that this person basically is a Bin Laden? This person basically is a George Bush. So you can just imagine basically, up to what level the creation basically everything is done. Basically. Entire creation basically is done basically. When in front of the world basically, India is the cleanest country basically, and Pakistan is the terrorism basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.